Handstand history. We are going to explore what peasant farmers thousands of years ago had to do with the birth of Chinese acrobatic acts, the link between ancient Greece, handstands, and wine, and what records from the Middle East provide astonishing detail about some of the world's oldest paid professional inverters. Finding when the first humans stood on their hands is impossible. I'm sure our earliest Neanderthal relatives did so before they were even walking fully upright. But we can explore some concrete evidence of the practice dating back thousands of years. Various cultural settings featured handstands in one way or another, and for different reasons. It is much easier to find evidence of acrobatics under which umbrella handstands could be assumed present, but I have tried to stick purely to written and/or visual evidence of actual handstands and kept speculation to a minimum. Greece. Partying and handstands. Interesting combination, though one I wouldn't generally recommend myself. But as far back as 2,500 years and earlier, it appears the ancient Greeks were doing just that, although the handstand part would likely have been performed by a hired acrobat, and hopefully a sober one at that. You see, they had an interesting cultural practice known as a symposium. In a nutshell, a social gathering, usually of Greek men whom were citizens, where food and drink, sometimes too much, were enjoyed, along with some form of entertainment in the form of music, acrobatics, and other pleasures. They took on a variety of forms from mundane to mad, to marking significant milestones such as a young man from an aristocratic family coming of age, and to host other various celebrations, debates, and happenings of socio-cultural significance. Interestingly, this image of a crater dating back to 330 to 310 BCE features a woman performing what is unmistakably a handstand, which is fascinating as a crater was used at symposiums to mix and dilute wine with water before serving to guests, because they considered drinking straight wine to be barbaric. A symposiarch would be in charge of dictating the strength of the wine this way before it was served to guests. Typically, there was said to have been a 3-crater rule, though evidence and written accounts suggest that this was often not adhered to. So we have both written accounts of acrobatics being performed at these events and a depiction of a handstand on a type of vessel used at them. Pretty compelling. China. Peasant farmers watering the early seeds of acrobatics. Imagine walking out into your family living room as a child. Casually, Dad is there balancing on the dining table, upside down on one arm, twirling a wooden cooking spoon with the fingers of his free arm. "Dinner's ready," he and Mom sing out in unison. Though this story is a conjuring of thought, in ancient China, particularly among the poorer working classes, it has some plausibility, which we will get back to in a moment. China's acrobatic history is long, rich and varied, going back more than 2,000 years, as early as the Warring States period, 476 to 221 BCE, with some records and evidence indicating it originated as far back as 5,000 years ago in ancient, see words on the screen because I have no chance of pronouncing them correctly, located in northern China, which is often called the cradle of acrobatics or the birthplace of acrobatics in China. The lower working class, notably farmers and village artisans, were responsible for the creation of many original circus acts. A variety of everyday house and workplace items like chairs, tables, brooms and plates were used to balance on top of, juggle, manipulate and more. During winter, when work naturally slowed down, such people would have had more time to perfect their skills, which would be performed at the Lunar New Year harvest celebrations, hopefully to a bountiful season. In 1958, an ancient tomb dated between 534 CE and 550 CE was uncovered in the cradle of acrobatics. Paintings within clearly depicted people performing handstands, among other feats of skill and grace. Another wonderful example is from the Western Han period, 206 BCE to 9 CE, depicting 2 figures balanced on each of the vases. The distinct shape they hold is fairly commonly known as a stag handstand. I personally find this very inspiring. Not only is the practice of balancing on one's hands thousands of years old, but a specific shape I regularly hold has been captured millennia ago by an unknown Chinese potter. Could our potter have also practiced acrobatics? After all, the lives of regular working folk was where the roots of many impressive acts took hold. Or maybe it was their sister or brother. That's the beauty of history, the unknown space in which we can ponder, imagine, and investigate. Middle East, Syria. Ancient professional performers. I find this historical segment particularly intriguing as specific details present from archaeological findings and written texts give such vivid insight. Where stated, sections are quoted from an article on The Conversation. The full piece, which I recommend checking out, can be found on their website. Link in the description. Quote, "Inhabitants of the ancient city-states of the Middle East enjoyed a vibrant social and economic life, centered on palace and temple institutions, supported by surrounding agricultural and pastoralist communities. One such custom that arose in the area of Syria was the professional acrobat, or hupu, attached to the royal court. The first known mention of the hupu is in administrative documents from the ancient city of Ebla, Tel Madikh in Syria, dated as early as 2320 BCE. Details of the profession can be further pieced together from snippets of information in a royal archive, 1771 to 1764 BCE, of about 20,000 tablets preserved at the neighbouring city of Mari. Accounting records and personal letters unveiled troops of hupu, who performed several times per month for special events to celebrate the king's safe return to the city, the arrival of special visitors, and religious festivals. These productions were so admired, the cast and crew accompanied the king to entertain in foreign kingdoms. There are just two surviving adjectives used to describe the performances of the hupu, but they invoke a visual feast of high energy movement. First, malulu, variously meant to play, to act, and to fight." End quote. The second is of most interest to us handstand heads. Quote, "The second, nabal kutu, was applied to a range of bold and dynamic actions: to clear an obstacle, to rebel against authority, to turn upside down, to change sides, to tumble, instead of a flying bird, and to roll, instead of waves and earthquakes." Here is a replica of a bronze bowl found in southwest Iran around 600 BCE, which provides further evidence of the hupu profession. And if we zoom in closely, we can clearly see human figures tumbling and walking on their hands. Employment was on a casual basis. Payments were collected after performances, probably several times per month, in the form of silver shekels. A surviving list of palace disbursements for a tour to a neighbouring town points to a reasonable living. An ordinary hupu collected 1 shekel, the second in command 2, and the head 5. For perspective, a single silver shekel bought 300 kilograms of barley. End quote. In our present-day world of ever-changing trends, viral fitness workouts, fads and FOMO, the ancient art of handstands has clearly weathered the passing of time, and provided humanity still exists in some form or another for the next couple of thousand years, I'm quite sure it will continue to provide a uniquely challenging, inspiring and expressive physical outlet for those that look at the ground, arms outstretched, and think, why not? Thanks for your time.